Hello there, Final Fantasy XI players, Quetch here, and today we're going to be talking about Thief's ability, Treasure Hunter, and how that ability affects drop rates. So we have a small snippet from one of my streams where I went over how to basically read the Treasure Hunter chart and how to target mobs for the drops you're looking for. Now, if you're not aware, Square Enix actually dropped on us the Treasure Hunter chart that they've been using supposedly from early on to measure a mob's drop rate. It was a really interesting piece of information and something that as a Thief player in retail I'd been thinking about for a long time. Now the Horizon devs have said they're also using the same chart for Horizon. And honestly, this information, this video is much more pertinent to Horizon players, although it still helps if you're a retail player. So before we move on to the topic, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and let me know in the comments down below if this ends up helping you at all. Drop rates. Drop rates, so the thing is, some mobs drop some items, some don't, and then drops have a rarity to them, from common to ultra rare, and you can see that chart. It's on BG Wiki. The devs for Horizon have stated they're using the official Treasure Hunter chart. If you combine the Treasure Hunter chart with all the old information on FFXI DB, it's a site that tells you like drop rates. You can pretty much figure out uncommon drops versus common drops versus rare drops versus your TH and what general percentage you should be getting. Of course, this is Horizon, so we don't know if there's minor tweaks, but in general, those should be accurate. Should be accurate data. Once you see the chart, it all clicks. I think it's like uncommon. You'll see like uncommon items have like a 20% drop rate, but with TH2, it's like a 35. So as long as you correctly identify an item as uncommon, you should have those percentages. How do we know what to identify an item as? Well, so the easy way to do that is to farm like 20 mobs and just be like, just look at what you have for drops. Here, I'll just pull up the Treasure Hunter chart real quick, because like I said, once you see this, it illuminates a lot as to how the drop mechanics work in the game. You see here, a common item is 25% drop rate, or very common, and then uncommon is 10%, and then TH2 brings a very common item to half a drop. How do you classify an Emperor Pin? Well, so there's also an issue with NMs that have specific drops. Now, okay, so the Emperor Hairpin is probably affected by TH, if I had to guess. And I would say it's probably like a rare drop. So 5% of the time. And then that would go up with your Treasure Hunter by like, roughly 1% per level. If I had to guess. It might be uncommon. I don't know. I would say Leaping Boots are probably rare as well, judging from this. The issue becomes some NMs have like a slot that's not affected by TH. So this, all that to say, because I'd have to have a specific example and we'd have to sit down and figure it out. If you're just thinking of items mobs drop, as in like bead necklaces, scrolls, shell shield, whatever. See, there you go. Kamishi just pointed out Poison Hand has only one drop slot, so TH doesn't work. There you go. O-Coat, thank you. So a lot of this is common knowledge. Well, not common knowledge. It's like people have figured this out over time. So let's see what our drop rate for Zinc Ore is. Okay, my kill speed isn't going to be great though. All right. So what it comes down to is farm 20 of a mob that drops, say, beehive chips, and just take a look at. Obviously, 20 is a low sample size, but if you have 0 TH, you can pretty much identify between, say, uncommon and very common. You should have roughly double the amount of items. But there's going to be, like, because common is right in between, your data is going to suck. But, like, at least you'll have a vague idea of, like, okay, if I bring my Thief to this, I'm getting double the drop rate at these two rates, but uncommon items are only a 2% increase, right? So that's that. That's the one way to figure that out. The other thing you can do is FFXI DB. Now, assuming that, again, Horizon hasn't changed anything specifically, let's just type in Yagudo bead necklace. Okay. So you can assume that this data is pulled from a mix of with Treasure Hunter and without. because I don't know how exactly they got this data, but it was like done like years ago, and it's averaged out over, you know, they killed 16,000 Yagado initiates and they got 6,335. If some of the players were using TH for this data and some weren't, I think that's where you're gonna get your best numbers. So like I would say it's a very common drop just from that number. If 24% of the time non-thieves were getting it, and then 48% of the time, or 56% of the time thieves were getting it, that would average out to upwards to that 40%. If I click on the mob, it gives the TH data. Oh, thank you. Okay, so there it is. So yeah, so look at it. So yeah, I thought I had seen this at some point. Thank you, Potato. And you can see it right here, okay? So you can correctly identify Yagado bead necklace is a very common drop within a few percentage deviation here to what's shown on the treasure hunter chart, right? So coming down, you can see, okay, so here's Marifatad Mountains. Let's click the Piper there. So the Piper seems to have an 18%, upwards of a 60 with TH3, so it looks like it's the same drop rate. It's very common. With your deviation is a little lower, but there's also a lower sample size. So yeah, FFXI DB is really good for like in era, and what happened is this treasure chart got given to us by the devs in like 2020. So what it did was it took all this data we had and pretty much illuminated it and pretty much specified it, and it's really helpful for a large amount of things in the game, but it doesn't help sort of the obscurity of NMs with only one drop. Like for example, King Behemoth has either drops a pixie earring or a defending ring. We know that Treasure Hunter doesn't affect that because that slot is already there 100% of the time. So what happens is, we do know from sample sizes that 95% of the time the pixie earring drops and 5% is defending ring. So it's just like some of it is like players figured it out over time, and some of it is just exactly what I showed you. The chart plus the FFXI DB data is really helpful. What is that? So we got here. I'll pull up. So this is what I found on Landworms. They have zinc ores are 6%. So we're looking at probably a rare drop because 11% at TH3 plus. I mean TH8 you get an 11%. I doubt they're uncommon unless, yeah. I would say they're probably a rare drop. And at the speed I was killing worms, it just was awful. Gonna have to fight you for Yagudos. Dang it!